So, hello, and welcome to Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. This is episode 6, recorded on, I think it's December 1st, actually.
Yeah, this is December 1st.
Dang, December 1st in the year 2019. I'm Yazeed, along with Joseph, and Senovia, and JC. We're recording in the Echo Cavern today, so it means we're actually in person for the first time. So that's pretty exciting.
I didn't know what you looked like before this.
Oh my god. What do you mean?
I'm pretty scared, actually.
Oh my gosh. There's two clowns over here. So how's it going?
It's great.
It's good.
I also didn't say it before. I got a tattoo.
What?
Yeah, I
tattoo
saw
on
the
my
Where?
and the Instagram.
My mom and I got matching little cochito tattoos on our wrists, little piggy cookies.
Is that a culturally significant thing, or is that a family significant? I don't know anything about it.
No, all Mexicans have cochito
Yeah.
tattoos.
No, I meant...
Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I meant is the pig cookie like a cultural thing? I don't know anything about it.
It
So
was my tata's favorite cookie. So it's just like I've been saying forever I want to get a tattoo, but I didn't know what I actually wanted. So, tata's favorite thing, and I'm apparently Mexican, so it kind of worked out. It's a Mexican cookie, and it's my tata's favorite. I know.
Mr. Garcia?
But yeah, I mean, got a tattoo.
Let me check that.
it's pretty wild. It's still a little red and like raw on the sides. And
Yeah.
I got this literally last night.
Do you wash it? Do you,
No, I don't wash my hands just in general.
Like,
So-
you have the etiquette all down? You know, tattoo tips? You need any advice?
I got A and D. Apparently that's a thing. It's just a little thing of vitamin A and D and a cream gel thing.
Yeah, I use hand soap, wash it every 2 to 3 hours,
Yeah.
dry it with a paper towel, keep it clean,
Yeah.
keep pets away from it.
Yeah. We'll see.
That's cool. We're in the tattoo club now.
Yeah.
You're next. Who's next on the tattoo list?
I don't think I'm gonna get a tattoo ever. I don't like things enough to get a tattoo. I don't think.
What do you think?
That's what I also said.
You should
Well-
just get a giant moth like on
No, no.
Get a salmon dinner. Tattooed on your chest.
I don't think we've been over this on the podcast actually, but I'm horribly afraid of bugs, which is why the moth thing is an absolute nightmare for me.
Just tweet us pictures of bugs at HomeGamesIO.
Please don't
See
tweet
what
us
review
pictures.
those.
No, I will not. Oh, I don't like bugs.
Favorite bug gifts. It's just
No,
ongoing
no.
submission to the show.
No. There's one of a tarantula shedding its
I
skin.
just showed that to Senovia
God,
this
dude,
morning.
Isn't that cool?
no.
I hate it.
I hate
That's
that
nature.
one. No, because they played it so fast that you like
It like
he's like a robot.
It
Like
looked like
thrashes
that
it off.
hand.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I saw that one and I was like, this is a nightmare. It was actually a while ago on Reddit. There was an Ask Reddit thread about what's the worst bug story you have. And I read that one right before I went to sleep, and that was such a mistake. It was such a mistake. There was one that stuck with me where this lady went to go and throw something out, and when she was coming back in, something like landed on her face, and it was a cockroach like the size of her cheek, and she freaked out and just slapped herself as hard as she could, but the cockroach went flying around and just started chasing after her. And if that happened to me, I would die instantly. I don't think there would be like a scream or anything. It's just like instant heart stop, and I would die.
I have one where I was in New Mexico when I was little, and they had like this janky little slide that went into the pool, and so I was going down the slide, but at the very bottom there was a spider's like web egg thing, and I accidentally kicked it because I was gonna go down, and I was like pulling myself up, and it opened up.
Was it just like a ton of baby spiders?
Mm-hmm.
Did they get on you?
I don't think so. I just ran away.
That's the move.
But
That's a good move.
It
That's-
like, I remember it just like bursting open. It was crazy.
yeah, that sounds horrible.
So we actually have a lot of stuff to go over today.
This is also a big one because we're in person, but also this is the first one where we're uploading it like 3 days from when we record it,
That's true.
instead of that weirdo thing when there's like a week and a half between them. And
Yeah, Joseph's gonna have a hard time with this one because we didn't record last week.
You mean like editing and stuff?
Yeah.
This should be easy because it's all just going to be one audio track since we're all together. The last one was a freaking nightmare. It was 4 separate audio tracks.
I swear it's not allowed.
No, I can't. It's just I'm trying to not so much. But yeah, it's like
That's sweet.
it was my audio track going, and then Yazeed's roughly at the same time, so that was pretty easy to sync up. But then JC got in like 30 minutes in, so then I had to sync up that start of the audio track to the rest of our conversation that was going. Then Alex joined in like an hour in, and then that was going. And so JC had keyboard sounds the entire time in his track. So I was listening to it, and then when it would be like me and Yazeed talking and then just clacking in the background, I would go and silence JC's audio track. And then at one point, JC just fucking burped into the mic.
Was that me? Did I burp? I don't feel like I burped.
You just burped, and I silenced that part. And then Alex had keyboard sounds, and then at one point, I think Yazeed had some sort of keyboard sound, and then I had a fan going in the background of mine the whole time, and then all these different things. So I edited that thing for 6 hours. So this one should be way easier. I'm just cutting out the bad parts.
Yeah, I mean that, and also maybe.
Maybe I should pay you.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just give me your love. It's fine.
But speaking of you two being here, you guys had a travel story, which I haven't heard yet, actually.
I'll try to set it up, but Senovia can add flavor throughout because she's better at remembering details. But yeah, we drove here to Arizona from Seattle, and basically we just drove in Senovia's car, 26-hour drive. We were gonna go from Seattle to Baker City, Oregon, which is in Eastern Oregon, to Vegas for 2 nights, and then here. So we were leaving on Friday. We were supposed to get here Monday, that whole thing. And so we left Friday evening, like 4 p.m., and it was pitch black outside, like super nighttime, scary Pacific Northwest evening, pitch black, and it was foggy. And it was kind of terrifying to drive in. Senovia was driving. And so we just crossed over into Oregon. Like I said, pitch black. Couldn't see anything. It was just basically what the headlights in front of us could see, and just following Google Maps. We crossed into Oregon over a bridge, and then 2 minutes later, 2 cops came like flying by us really, really fast on the highway, and then just passed us and whatever. And then like 5 minutes later, we came up on them on the highway, and they had closed off the entire thing from like going like the main highway through Oregon or whatever, closed. There was a semi pulled over off on the side of the thing, and the 2 cops with the flashing lights, and this like just happened just before we got there. So it's like, okay, highway's closed, reroute us, that's fine. And so it was like, okay, well just take this little exit here, and you can kind of loop back around, and then there's an entrance. It should just be a little 2-minute thing and keep going. But the map didn't know that the entirety of that highway was closed. So it routed us to some other, so we were basically going, and we can't turn this way, so we'll keep going, and then it'll reroute us. Sure enough, it rerouted us. And it sent us going up a mountain for 20 minutes. So like loop, like a spiral thing up a mountain. And the only reason we knew it was a mountain is because the lights from other cars were below us. Like you could see down, but again, it was so dark outside. It was just hard to know where we were and what was happening. We're just following the map, trying to get to where we were going. This detour was apparently an hour added to the trip, and so we were a little frustrated about that whole thing. So anyway, we were on this mountain, and then eventually Google's like, okay, well this is the part I'm fuzzy on, Senovia, the like actual highway part.
So we ended up getting off of the mountain, and then the route took us back to the freeway, but going westbound, so going basically backwards from where we need to go. And so what the route wanted us to do was go off the freeway and then do this big like loop to go around the detour and then back onto the eastbound freeway. So that's what I was trying to do. But then the road started getting like more and more bumpy, and then eventually it was like, okay, now turn right, like randomly. No street signs, no stoplights, no or anything. And then the road got really bumpy. We were basically like in the woods, but we couldn't tell like how much of woods because all we could see was right in front of us. But like my car is like a compact car, and like the trees were like coming around us, and like we were just like banging on like every single rock possible, and we just kept going down.
We're good.
Okay. And so I was like, I was in the mode of like, I need to just get to this hotel. If we just get to this hotel, the map was telling me that I was only like an hour and a half away from our destination and only 2 miles away from the freeway. So I was like, I'm just gonna power through this. But then we just kept going, got worse and worse, and then eventually my car was stuck on this hill. So my front wheels weren't on the ground. And that was at like 8 o'clock at night or something.
That was when we got stuck. It was 11:55.
Oh wow, yeah. And so then we called, or Joseph called 911, and they tried to send a deputy out to come get us, but in his SUV he got stuck and couldn't make it through where I went, and so we were just calling back and forth because our calls also kept dropping because it was like spotty service. And then eventually what 911 told us was, we can't come get you right now. We'll go get you in the morning when it's daytime. We'll send out search and rescue with like a propolis or whatever that thing is called. It's basically like a mountain jeep. And so we had to spend the night. And so then the next day we were just like calling. Like, do you have our location? Like, do you know where we are? Whatever. We're just freaking out. And we realized like we are literally on a hill on the edge on this mountain.
Like 3 feet to Senovia's left is like death. It's downhill.
Oh my god.
And to my right, I can't really open my door because we're stuck on this hill type thing. And also just when at nighttime, we could not see anything, so we didn't know any of this stuff. And it was 28 degrees outside. And so it was midnight when we got stuck, called them or whatever, and then they gave up with the sheriff at about 3 a.m. and told us that like hopefully you have blankets and food.
Nice.
So the next day we were like trying a bunch of things on like how to reverse the car, and nothing was working. But then eventually, like around like 11 or something, search and rescue ended up showing up, and it was like such a relief. And they were like the nicest people ever. They're all volunteers too, so they didn't do any of this, and so they gave us like Cliff Bars and like water. And then their whole thing was like, we need to rescue you guys. We don't care about your stuff. We don't care about your car. These guys are really nice, and so they were like, we're gonna try. And so they tried it, but we couldn't get the car off the hill. But one guy that was on the team, his name was Dave, literally the nicest person ever, was like, oh well, I have like this really nice like Jeep, like mountain Jeep. I take off-roading, so like I'll just drive you guys down, drive you to my house, and then take you guys back up here and get your car out of here. And so we went with them. He took us to his house. He picked up his car. We met his dogs, nicest people. We found out that he like tinkered with like toy trucks or trains. He was an ex-cop. He like went off-roading.
Collects cuckoo clocks,
like all this stuff. And so eventually we got back to my car, and he pulled me off the hill, helped me like go around, and then I tried to go up, but I got stuck again. And that one, because the night we slept there, everything froze over. And so in the morning it was like really muddy. And so when I tried to go over this other hill to go back up and follow him, my car kind of slid. And so we were basically dangling off of the hill on the mountain. And so Dave was like, don't worry, I'll just tow you guys out of here. And so he just towed us the entire way of the mountain. And then we got to the paved road finally. And my car was like going, like it was like working, quote unquote. And we were like, is there anything like we can give you? Like, do you want? And he was like, no, like I just want to help you guys, like da-da-da. And you seem like nice people. And so he was just like doing it out of the kindness of his heart. And he was such a good person. And I'm convinced that he was like Santa Claus. So.
That's super nice.
Yeah.
Because Louise had happy holidays.
Yeah, he had like bright blue eyes and like this like scruffy beard, and he was like, and he like tilted his head and he was like, happy holidays, and I was like, oh my god, this is Santa Claus. So I'm convinced like if we call the police like office or whatever, and we're like, oh, is Dave there? Like, we want to talk to him. They're gonna be like, no, there's no Dave. Like, we never had Dave. So, or they're gonna be like, oh, we had a Dave, but he passed away like a long time ago, and it was like a ghost or something. Like,
A ghost with a Jeep.
yeah. But yeah, and then my car made it here like the next 3 days. So
Yeah, we ended up finishing from there. We went to Boise to Vegas to here, and it made it like 19 hours of driving from all that. And
yeah.
I mean, the car will still turn on. There's no lights on. There's no whatever. Her back light's all messed up. Her rear bumper's all messed up. Her tire in the front has like no tread on
It's
it.
like shredded.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But it like functions. So
It was terrifying. Like, we were stuck out in that thing, and you know, like, I never called really 911 in my life, and so calling them, and they're just like, yeah, buddy, we've been trying for 3 hours. We can't do anything for you until, like, we're just gonna have to hope that these people can find you tomorrow. And then I don't know, just kind of putting everything onto these people, and then hoping that 911 will come help you. But it's like hour after hour. It's like, oh yeah, someone's gonna come find you. Someone's gonna come find you, and they don't. And you're just like, oh my god, we're gonna die out here. And then when the search and rescue actually came, it was 9 in the morning. So we had been out there for 9 hours in the car, in the middle of the forest. And I had like a false sense of hope or whatever, because when they came and got us initially before we came back for the car, you know, we was just like that big sense of relief of like, oh cool, we're not gonna die. And then he was like, oh, it's a good thing you didn't run into the cougars or the wolves that are out there. And then he was like, well, also, it's going to snow on Monday, and that was Saturday. And he's like, and if it started to snow, you guys would be super fucked out here. Like, the car would be stuck out here. We wouldn't be able to get you.
yeah.
So just kind of the timing of all that stuff. And anyway, so when we went back for the car, and like Senovia said, when we started to slide off that thing, in that moment, I was like, holy shit, we're going to die. Because the only thing keeping us from rolling off the side of that hill was the big rope thing that was just tied to us in that Jeep. And I was like, I don't know. It was like a crazy, crazy feeling. And so the whole way here, it was just, we just kept looking at each other like, what?
That sounds like the craziest adventure.
Yeah.
It was super weird.
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot and all that kind of stuff.
Life.
Yeah, about life. So it's just like, Thanksgiving, fuck it, get a tattoo, you know? Small business Saturday was yesterday. But yeah, it was a crazy, crazy trip.
What did you guys do when you were in the car for 9 hours? Did you just sleep, or were you like too amped up to sleep?
We only slept for maybe like 3 hours of it because we were just like trying to call 911 the whole time. And then like trying to call our parents and stuff. I think I slept for like 3 hours, and it was just way too cold.
Mm-hmm.
I kept like shivering, and then I don't even know if you slept.
I slept a couple hours. It was kind of the same thing, checking the phone to make sure that, because 911, at a certain point, they started calling me, trying to ask me questions about how we got to where we were and where whatever, because they weren't really able to find an exact location. But I didn't have service, so they weren't able to actually contact me, and I would get the call like an hour later.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't really whatever. But at a certain point, once I was calling them for updates, once I realized that I kind of just had to call out, because for whatever reason, calling 911, it works even if you don't really have service. It seems like it did, I don't know. But it was funny because you call 911, there's just like a lot of weight to that, and it feels like a really big deal. But at a certain point, I was just like, hey, it's the forest guy? You said there was a search and rescue team out for us? And then they just be like, oh, hi, Joseph. And so then at a certain point, I just called him up casually. Yo, it's Joseph. What's up with the search and rescue? But it was just fun at a certain point, but also absolutely terrifying and not fun at all.
Yeah,
So.
because it was perilous.
Oh, yeah, perilous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really, like, I know you probably don't want to hear it, but it's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, almost dying is really cool.
No, they didn't die. That's what makes it cool. If they did die, I'd be devastated.
Yeah, I'm really happy you guys didn't die.
Yeah, I am as well.
I don't know. It was just a cool feeling. But yeah, then we Boise was fine, and then Vegas was extra fun because it was kind of just like one of those.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're alive. Let's have, like, it was one night in Vegas. It was really going to be two, but you know, the whole stuck in a forest thing kind of throws off plans. But we still made it on Monday, and still made it for Thanksgiving, and for some, and however, but we have the car, we have the stuff. We're not hurt at all, and it's amazing. But God, it was so scary.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
Nothing that exciting happened to me.
How was your holiday?
It was good. It was chill. I stayed at my mom's place on Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning we all got up like at 8, 9 o'clock, and we all started cooking. We cooked Thanksgiving together. We had like kind of the whole family over, and we just ate Thanksgiving meal. And then yesterday I went to a wedding.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was super cool. Something I was not prepared for was an outdoor wedding, and I didn't wear enough clothes.
Were you like half naked or what?
No, I was wearing I was wearing like slacks, like dress shoes, dress socks, which weren't warm enough, and then like a short sleeve T-shirt, a button down, and a blazer over that. So I just wasn't wearing like enough clothes because it was like 45 degrees and windy last night. So it was just kind of cold. It was a lot of fun, but I was a little cold the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. One of my friends who went as well, he was just wearing a dress shirt and nothing underneath it, nothing over it. And I don't know. I honestly don't know how he made it because I was dying.
Was he at least wearing pants?
Yeah, I mean he was wearing pants and shoes as well. But yeah, no, that was yesterday for me. But yeah, I just had a very relaxed 4 days off.
That's
I'm really happy
nice.
about. Yeah, no, I had nothing that crazy.
Good.
Nothing that crazy has ever. I don't think I've ever called 911. So hearing that you've called
Really?
911, I've never. No. So hearing that you've called 911 so many times that
I got
it's
like 11 911 calls in my call log from the last week.
that's insane. And the fact that you're just like, hey, I'm the forest guy. Where's the people?
It's your boy Joseph.
Yeah. It was a weird experience for sure.
Also, I feel like cell phone providers have to give you, or any tower will pick up a 911 call, but not every tower will like deliver a call to you. I think is like the way that works.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also think 911 calls work without a SIM card, right? Like
You can call 911 always.
Yeah.
You I don't think there's a way to not be able to call 911 unless your phone doesn't work.
Right.
And you, JC, how was your holiday break?
It was very quiet. Didn't do much. I went downtown and went to bars a lot more than I'm used to. Not like a guy who goes out very much. And like my brother's working Thanksgiving, so we didn't do anything. We just had a quiet lasagna dinner and watched bad comedy dramas. And that was it. Fixed car stuff.
You did?
Yeah. I got a plate now.
Hey.
I'm not riding dirty.
Yeah.
So we're good. Yeah, I ate lasagna. It was quiet. It was a nice break. Killed the guy.
So what kind of lasagna was it? Did you like make it from scratch? Was it like a frozen lasagna?
Made people. It was a from scratch lasagna. My sister made.
Nice.
Like including the noodles?
No, that's crazy.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah, I don't know how do you make pasta noodles by hand? Like you gotta roll that out, right?
You don't know how to make pasta?
I've never made pasta before in my life.
It's
It's
just
really
like,
cool. You
yeah.
should try it.
Flour, eggs.
Well, when
Water.
Joseph said that
Water.
you two had made it, I was like, I gotta do this myself.
You
But then I
should.
looked up a recipe and I was like, I'm gonna mess this up.
No, it's super easy.
Flour and eggs.
We gotta bake it, don't you?
What?
What?
You can bake lasagna. You don't even
But
bake
you
the
don't-
noodles.
Oh, you don't bake the noodles before?
What are you
What are you
talking
talking
about?
about? Yeah, get him. Sorry, blowing up the mic.
You think you have to bake noodles?
I don't know how to make pasta. I read a recipe and by that I mean I looked at the ingredient list and I was like, Jesus, I don't even own half of these. I don't own flour.
You should own
You
flour.
don't own flour?
No, I don't own
AP
flour.
flour is like AP.
It's AP.
AP flour? You mean all-purpose flour?
Yeah.
I don't own that. I don't own flour.
Do you own like salt?
Yes.
What about like sugar?
No.
You don't own sugar?
I don't bake
Yeah.
Senovia.
Roasted.
But you need to have sugar.
No, I don't own sugar.
You don't drink coffee. You don't drink tea.
No,
you don't drink
uh-uh.
Kool-Aid. You
I
don't
drink tea but black.
Oh my god.
When you make
are a
pasta, do you
monster.
just empty the jar into a pot?
Of? What do you mean?
Do you just heat up a jar?
Of what? Of pasta?
Pasta sauce?
Yes.
You not
You
add
just
anything
put
to
the
it?
jar-
No, I just if I'm making pasta, I found a bottled pasta sauce that I really like, and so I've just been cooking with that.
You should really try making pasta by hand at least once. It's
No, I should, but I would need to buy like a lot of like subordinate ingredients.
What do you think you need to purchase that you don't
Flour.
have? Okay, flour. That's like $2.
You don't think you'll ever use flour ever in your life?
Okay, like
ever?
all I'm saying is that for the last few months that I've lived here, never used flour.
What a sad life.
Yeah, I know. You haven't been living. That's the problem.
You can make breads. You can make pizza. You can make pasta.
Waffles, pancakes.
You just dump flour into your
Pancakes,
mouth.
pancakes.
Pancakes are so easy. Do you have baking powder?
You can make crepes.
Nope.
You can make cake. You can make brownies. You can...
Please buy flour, Yazeed. You're a grown man. That's really.
I'll buy. Oh look, I'll buy. Last night I bought vanilla extract.
Hey, okay.
Because I was gonna make French toast, but then last night, like, I don't know what happened, and I just had a not good night last night. And then this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm making French toast. I'll do it the next weekend.
When you make fresh pasta, it also cooks a lot faster than the stuff you buy at the store.
Yeah.
And the stuff you buy at the store doesn't have egg in it, so it's not like real pasta. It's like some not pasta.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, in order to preserve it, they don't put egg in it. They put something else.
Even the refrigerated ones?
Oh, I would guess that's
The
different. If you buy the
refrigerated
fancy, like, sealed fresh pastas or whatever, that's
Yeah.
different. I'm talking about, like, the Barillas.
So like we have like a place in town where they sell like homemade ravioli and like uncooked homemade ravioli. It's like I'll buy that and then freeze
Is it
it.
stuffed? What's that?
Yeah.
Like,
Is this in downtown?
It's like by the U.
by the year?
Really?
50 years old?
Well, I don't want to say what university.
I already said Arizona. What do you
Arizona's the whole state, dude. If I see the name of the university, I know exactly where I live.
Not exactly.
There's only so many Yazeeds in Tucson, Damn. I'm leaving that in.
Honestly, your name alone is like
Easy enough to find. Dang it.
Your name is Yazeed Smith.
Yeah, Yazeed
No one
Smith.
will ever find you.
Along with Senovia.
Yeah.
Doe.
We're so easy to find. It's whatever. Senovia, his name is unique. Your name is unique. And,
My name is common.
I mean, it says everything about me on, like, everything I put up online. So,
Yeah.
whatever, man. Can't make a podcast be secret.
You're right. So at the U of A, University of Arizona, there's a place near there that sells homemade like ravioli, and so I go there like once every 2-3 weeks, and I buy myself ravioli.
Nice.
Yeah. My favorite ones from there, they have like a bunch of cheese stuffed ones, but they have ones that's stuffed with butternut squash.
Yeah.
Oh,
We made that, didn't we? Or we made something with butternut squash.
At Trader Joe's, I don't know if they have it anymore because Thanksgiving is over. I'm sure they do. But they have a butternut squash and pumpkin pasta sauce.
Ooh.
It is so good. You guys gotta try it.
That sounds really good.
And then they also have like a pasta that's made with butternut squash like in it, like the noodle itself.
Yeah.
But you can't really taste the butternut squash. It just tastes like pasta.
Yeah.
So
We also took a cooking class a couple years ago, and we made, I'm pretty sure it was butternut squash ravioli.
mm-hmm.
It was delicious. That's what I'm saying. It's like cheap to make the pasta. When you make it, you feel like a god.
It's so easy.
fancy. It feels fancy.
Okay, look, all I'm saying is next time I have a lady over, I'll make pasta.
Oh my god, that'd be so impressive.
Yeah.
Really?
But you
Yeah.
should practice first.
Yeah, I have to practice. Alright, I'm gonna buy a lot
Yeah.
of flour and eggs. I own eggs. I own
Salt.
what's
oil.
18 plus 12? That many eggs?
30.
That's not 30. Yeah, it is. I own 30 eggs.
Math degree.
Not an arithmetic degree. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so aside from the pasta conversation, Mr. Joseph has bug fixes and stuff to talk about.
Sure. Bug fixes on the word game. I'm just thinking about the stuff that's changed since last week. It's been quite a bit. So the buttons work. The be cool and nah, I have changed to a more reasonable kind of text prompt that says close enough, and then the buttons are yes and no, and it's now a vote. So someone hits a button, that vote goes into a pool or whatever, and then the majority vote is determining whether or not those two players are getting a point. And then now there's, in that player list in the top right, there's a score next to it, so you actually have a score that persists throughout the thing. You can kind of keep playing round after round. It's another thing we didn't do. We didn't actually play the game at the start of this one.
Oh, you're right.
That's okay. So yeah, basically made that whole thing work so players can join and leave, and the game doesn't crash, and the kind of state of the game updates correctly now, which is really nice. I also fixed text input on Android because I didn't realize, because I haven't tested with any Android devices recently, but when I was at Thanksgiving with Alex, we were trying to play it on Pico de Gallo just to see if it worked, and the keyboard input didn't work. And I realized it's because Android is just difficult to deal with and doesn't abide by things like standards in web browsers, like on input and stuff like that, and key down events. Or no, sorry, yeah. So Android doesn't read key down appropriately like iOS does. iOS will pick up the key down and key up events just like a real keyboard will. Android, if you try to read the on key down from that, it'll always give you code 229, which is like some hieroglyphics type character, and I don't like it just doesn't work. So I had to do some fixing for that. Now the web client will check if the client is Android, specifically Android, because I just want to limit this fancy logic to just Android. And we'll do some fancy logic to basically just do an on input event instead of on key down. But the on input is the entirety of the text box and not the like per character input like key down is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just trickier to deal with. Anyway, that's fixed. And Pico de Gallo is up with the current version. So at this point, it's like a working version of Word Match, which is pretty sick, you know?
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's about it, really, in terms of the bug fixes.
Is it up?
Yeah, it's on Pico de Gallo right now, if you want to do it. Oh, I also support more than 2 players now. So if a third player joins, they spectate. They see everything the same way, but you don't get the text box. And then on the next round, it'll go through and give the next person a turn. So it'll move down in 2s, but there's a bug in my math and it doesn't wrap around the list correctly. So it'll just basically, if you have 3 players, it'll go 1, 2, and then 2, 3. And instead of going 3, 1, it'll just stay at 2, 3. But yeah, anyway, multiple players kind of works.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I also got this pop socket. It's an American flag. Pretty rad, I think.
Nice. This means completely patriotic.
Very.
After being rescued by the police.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on Pico de Gallo.
Alright.
Are you hitting a game, me?
You can hit any game.
I don't know these words. You gotta read them for the audience.
Your word is cerebralist. My word is
Sesquiquintal?
Yeah, sesquiquintal.
Like 2 QUIs.
Yeah. Quintal.
We can refresh. That would also be a good idea to add a button here. I was thinking of adding a thing where you can put in your own 2 words, or do the random, or get new word. That would be a good band-aid in the meantime until we can actually curate this list of words.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because sesquiquintal, I think, is like a number.
Sesquiquintal, it's like sequential, but all like messed up.
Oh, no, What is cerebralist is like a thinker, right?
Yeah.
JC's on it.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, third player, and I looked around the room.
Sequential.
That's so cool.
Alright, I got my word down.
Alright.
JC's name is Spader's Anti-Aggressive, which I think is pretty accurate to him as a person.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I mean, it makes more sense than lacunus stapeliosis.
Tried to ready up. The button doesn't work. Incredible. Who made this?
I'm ready up.
I'm going to leave and rejoin. Oh. Crash the game, boys.
Jesus.
Refresh it, it doesn't work.
It's being killed, dude.
Talking about bug fixes.
Yeah, that's dead.
I crashed. I think I might have put an input wrong. I don't have good. Anyway, that's a bug and I can't restart it. I don't have my laptop. My thing was Smart Guy, like the show. You know, the Taj Mowry, whatever his name is.
I did Math Wizard.
That's close.
Smart Guy and Math Wizard. That's. I say we got it.
I think
the mean things I'd say to someone.
Smart Guy. Earlier when you couldn't add 18 and 12, he's a math wizard.
Oh my god.
And me breaking this thing, I'm a smart guy.
We're both smart guys. Math wizards.
I mean, aside from the bug fixes, which we found a new bug, what the .exe stuff?
Yeah, so that's super exciting to me. I found the whole time I was just thinking, because at this point I haven't like shown the app or the podcast or whatever to a lot of people. It's been a small little circle of people, and to me, I can't really announce this as like a thing people can use until there is something you can download, double click, and run. So I was just kind of investigating yesterday how I would do that, starting with a .app, and then I learned a .app is essentially just a folder with a bash script in it, and you can double click that, and then the macOS will just execute that bash script. So I got the .app working to run the whole server. But then I started looking into how to do it for Linux and Windows. And Windows, to me, this is the one that kind of is a big question mark, because I really don't like Windows and digging into Windows dev stuff and installing Node on it. Like I did it once on my old desktop, and it's fine, but it's just a hassle. So I found this Node package called PKG, which will essentially look at your package.json file and build executables for every platform by looking at your package.json, looking at what you're trying, like your target, like what you want to build as a binary, which in this case is app server and game server. They're two separate ones. And then we'll crawl your project directory, find all of the stuff that you depend on, and bundle it up into one executable thing. And so when app server or game server are looking for something in the file system, like, index.html and stuff like that, it's all bundled together in this one big binary. And anyway, it's like kind of amazing how it all works, and I don't really understand how it works, but I essentially just said PKG current directory. It built executables for Windows, Mac, and Linux. I tested it on my mom's laptop running Windows, and I got it all to work. So it was just double click game server, double click app server. Her Avast antivirus was like, hey, this is definitely a virus, don't run this. And I was like, no, it's good, I promise. And then it was like, all right, well, you found a very rare file, because it's just checking the binary against other stuff it already knows is bad, right? So it's like, well, we've never seen this file before, so we're going to send it off to the Avast labs and have it, whatever, it was like a 30-minute automated process, right, to just send it off to the server. And it came back clean, so Avast doesn't think that we're writing viruses out here, so that's a milestone as well.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, part of this is also that I removed every dependency that's not WebSockets.
That's right.
The install time is like a second, and the binary is only 23 megabytes. It's pretty crazy. But that thing includes all the Node.js runtime and everything. It's just all self-contained, along with a version of our app at that time, and it just totally works. It works on Mac, it works on Windows. If I had a machine running Linux, I would test it there too. So
that's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
Also, the thing about the Avast is that if enough people use it, eventually it won't even be registered anymore.
But the thing I've noticed is because every time I'm doing it, I'm building a new binary. So it's just looking at the actual thing, and there's no publisher, because there's no home games. So it's like publisher unknown, that whole thing. So I have to figure out how to make that not trigger every antivirus software, because even on Mac, when you open it up, it's like, whoa, buddy, this is an unidentified developer. You have to go into your settings and all that kind of stuff, and just people in general won't trust it. Even tech people who are kind of targeting it, at least initially, it's just not a good
vibe.
Yeah, it's not something you want to do in the beginning. But I guess we're just trying to put out, like, we're not doing anything weird. It's just we don't know what the hell we're doing.
That makes sense. That's really cool though, man.
Yeah, it's exciting. But once we get I'll post it and all that kind of stuff to like regular people eventually, but not right now when we have the game server crashing because I've typed in a word.
Do you post stuff like that on the Twitter account?
Stuff like that.
Like the taking out the extra dependencies and the .exes becoming available. I know you posted that you had updated like the website to have the .exes available, but you don't post about like, oh hey, look, sick thing we made, like legitimate like developer notes as we're developing through.
No, not yet. I don't think Twitter would be the place for it.
No,
because maybe Twitter is like fun information, not weird dev stuff and like release notes in there. Patch notes.
Patch notes. I avoided saying patch notes there because of the podcast.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess we can just use GitHub more for that stuff and like using issues, and because you still have a bunch of issues from 6 or 7 months ago that we haven't closed out, so they're all outdated at this point. And one of them is finalized message transport, which is like the most optimistic thing I've ever done in my life. There's no way we're gonna finalize any of that stuff.
I think when we originally talked about that, you said that there's no way we're gonna like finish it, but like to get down the how we wanted to, like what the format of that was.
I think I still don't know because it's like the format can change because like for example you mentioned on a previous podcast that the whitelist for who can see a game node has to be a list.
Yeah.
That's a change that we have to include that isn't in that thing now, and that's just an example of something else we have to change. So that's why I'm saying finalize. What does that even mean?
That's true.
But we'll figure it out. But we should get up to track stuff like that for more Devi type stuff. We should probably also use the wiki, the GitHub wiki.
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be really useful, I think, for us.
And if one day if we get tests down, we can use the GitHub CI stuff.
Yeah. We can do the whole thing. There's a ton of stuff we can do because GitHub has been rolling out new features like that pretty rapidly over the past few months. Since Microsoft bought them.
So Microsoft's like, we got to do this anyway, so might as well just give it to the world.
Yeah.
That is okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, it's exciting getting a thing on my mom's Windows computer to just run, and it's like not a pretty logo. It's not an official looking thing, but you run it and it opens up a Windows command prompt with the server stuff running in there, and you seriously double click 2 things, go to homegames.link, and you have it running. Like it's super cool.
That's super cool. We'll get to the music at the end, I think.
Oh yeah, we have to listen to that too.
We do. I haven't heard it yet. So it's on your Google Drive?
Yeah, but I mean, I just gave you my username and password. I trust you.
Oh.
Hunter2 is my password. No, yeah, we'll listen to the music before the end of the thing.
Okay.
We could cut and do that.
All right, that makes sense. And then the last thing I had on here for this part was the listener questions. Then.
Yes. Let me open up Twitter. This is very exciting for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but we got our first ever listener question. Woo!
Yeah, I'm soaked.
It's super weird, but it's cool. Let me see. Just trying to find it. All right, so on Twitter, @DynastySH asks us, will your games bring the living room back to life, or is the living room forever dead? Go ahead, Yazeed.
I think it'll be like I don't remember the word, like if it's like a specific time and place kind of deal, like if you're having people over, then it'll happen, but I don't think it'll be like I wouldn't invite people over to play games anymore. Like I'd invite people over to hang out, and then if we end up playing games, like then we end up playing games, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my approach to it, though. But I also like just talking to the people I hang out with regularly.
Yeah. Well, to me, like I'm thinking, I read this question as living room to me is like sitting with my Super Nintendo or like my PlayStation 2 and plugging a thing into the TV. I'm on a couch and I'm playing games in the living room, and maybe there's couch co-op, like the whole couch co-op thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't really exist anymore. Like Senovia and I have played Overcooked, and I think that's been one of our favorite things to do. Remember that game with that whole thing? And
Alex did that recently too. He went over to someone's house and they played Overcooked 2 for like 5 hours.
yeah. And it's sad because to me, the only games I can think about that really have couch co-op are Overcooked 2. Not that that's a bad game, it's just there used to be a lot more. Now it's all just like internet. I hate the internet, so I'm trying to. I think it'd be better if the living room stuff worked.
Home Games is gonna be the next GameCube. It's gonna be the next Mario Party 6.
There you go. Yeah, we were just playing Mario Party 6, JC and I and Alex the other day.
And we got to shatter Alex's hopes and dreams.
Yeah. I won even though I wasn't trying. But anyway, it's supposed to be fun. That game sucks, but it's supposed to be fun. And so
Debatable.
Is that a hot take or?
Mario Party's terrible.
Mario Party's great. Don't expect to win. It's how you have fun.
Okay, here's a more fun game. I'm just gonna roll this die. Every time it hits 4, I'll punch you in the face. That is basically Mario Party without all the hoops. No, yeah. Anyway, so to me, like the living room could be controller stuff on the TV, and I think adding controller support to the existing version was kind of my version of that, of just because games aren't real to me unless you can have a controller on it. But maybe a new version of the quote living room is just people on their phones in a living room, because that's really what people do when they go hang out with friends these days. And so home games should, in my opinion, support both of those, but kind of allow people to do couch co-op if they want to.
Yeah, no, I agree with the couch co-op thing. I think that's a lot of fun. I miss being able to like play through Halo with my brother. Like the whole story mode was a lot of fun. That's something I do miss.
Yeah. But I don't know if I would say the living room is dead. I mean, it just seems like these days, every game has to have some sort of online component or some multiplayer component. And, you know, just kind of going away from the good old days. Not to sound like an old man, but I kind of am in that way. I feel like it, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's like I play like really two types of games. Games that I can play like alone, and games that I are kind of competitive.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't really play games that are like for a bunch of people, but also like not like there's not like a rank or anything associated. Like you're just playing games with other people. I don't know.
Like Call of Duty or something, or you just kind of turn your brain off and play.
Yeah, like, I don't really enjoy playing those games. Like I play like StarCraft and Warcraft and League of Legends and stuff.
Nerd stuff.
Yeah, nerd stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
Smart guy stuff.
Oh, because I got yeah. No, I don't know about League of Legends. I got smart guy thing, but like Warcraft 3, there was a beta for it, and I played that like for hours and hours.
I see it open on your desktop, or the shortcut on your desktop.
Yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun. I won 90% of the matches I played.
Of course you did.
The matches I lost really badly.
Yeah.
Because those people were way better than me. I thought I was good, and then I played against a guy who literally beat me in 5 minutes, and I was like, oh my God. But yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, I don't play a lot of like my brother can just sit and play like Fortnite for like 6 hours, and like I can't do that. Or like he can play now. He's playing like the new Call of Duty, and he can play that for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
He told me he played it so much that when he dreams about the gunshots in that game, and I was like, that's PTSD, dude. It's not.
A man telling you who dreams about gunshots is
That
a red
seems-
flag.
Seems bad.
We also got one more viewer question or listener question. I'm not going to put out their Twitter handle because it's my mom. But the question is, does home games, or do I need an internet connection to play home games? The answer is no, actually. You need an internet connection to get it initially.
Yeah.
And you need an internet connection to run for home games that link to work. But just to access over the local network, you don't. You just go to the IP address directly. And downloading assets won't work. So basically, you should cache all that stuff beforehand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't you kind of need like a Wi-Fi to like set up the local area network?
Yeah, but you don't need to have an internet connection.
You don't have to have an internet connection. You could set up like an intranet for your house, but
Yeah, you need to just be on a network, but that Wi-Fi network doesn't need that
you have to pay
router-
for service.
Yeah, that router doesn't need to connect to a modem. It just needs to be plugged in. A Wi-Fi network that someone can connect to creates that network over the Wi-Fi, but there's no internet. But if someone were to play a game and it were to require an asset, like I was testing the draw game again recently, because it actually still works, which is crazy. But as a test, I have a Kanye shrug image in that one, and I was testing to make sure that still worked after I removed all the dependencies. But all this stuff gets cached if you just play it once. So yeah, you run it once, you make sure it works, and then you can take it kind of offline and keep going.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, side effect of the way it's designed. It wasn't really intention, like that wasn't the intention, but it kind of works like that.
Oh.
Pretty
Isn't
rad.
that like what is it called? Like I'll think of the word like in an hour and a half.
Great.
Yeah. We'll move on from that because I think of the word. It means like it's like it's like utility that happens by like just other stuff being added to it. Like because you did this, and this, then by proxy you had this as well.
Like an unintended benefit. Or
Yeah, like an unintended consequence or benefit. Yeah.
Sure.
In this case, that's a benefit, I would say.
The people know what you mean, Yazeed. You don't need to be fancy with your words.
Thank you. The listener questions.
That's checked off. That was a cool thing. First ever listener questions.
It is super cool.
Very exciting.
I told my brother to send us listener questions, and he gave me an example listener question. I was like, that's a stupid
Yeah,
question.
you would probably say something stupid, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So on my side of things, I took a look at Frogger and kind of like what goes into that and kind of like the things we're going to need for it. And I don't know if we've answered this before, Joseph, but how do you control a sprite on a phone? Yeah, are we using like swipe up and down, left, right? Or are we going to have like a little like D-pad, like a directional pad that pops up on the screen that you tap to like move it?
Interesting. I guess it kind of is up to the developer, so we should allow both. And having something like an on-screen control would be doable because you would put in a game node, 4 game nodes, one for each direction, and they're only visible to that player. On each touch, you basically just say this moves left, this moves right. Or you can have swipes. Reading a swipe though is weird because we currently read like the XY coordinate of every touch.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to drag your finger and quote swipe, that's just a very fast input of X and Y's. So we would need some sort of logic, I think, to detect what a swipe is, which might be tricky.
Okay.
So maybe as a V1, we can build in because you can build in the on-screen controls as it is today without new tooling and Squisher.
Okay.
But reading a swipe would be pretty tricky, I think, especially when it's in a web browser and like maybe I haven't looked into this, but maybe the mobile libraries, iOS and Android, will do something where you can kind of natively read a swipe versus a touch versus a whatever.
That makes sense.
When we have apps, it'll be different.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing is like I don't know. The way I was thinking about it was like there's 2 ways you can play the Frogger thing, which is the first one is you have like let's say like X players and you'll have like X minus 1 end spots, and so like basically like one person, the last person to get across, they won't get a spot. And so like by that way you like slowly eliminate out people, and so you can get to like your number 1 player basically. The other way is you just do an infinite run where it's like X players, X locations, and as you die, you just like you get hit by a truck or something like that. Like you don't get to go on after, like you don't have lives basically.
Yeah.
And so those 2 ways are like 2 vastly different games, and I was trying to like decide which one would be better. And the other thing too is like I don't know how feasible it'll be to finish it entirely by the end of December, but I think like a simple version where it's like some players that need to get across the map, that could be done pretty quickly. But I think adding in like, oh, you got across, now like that many players got across, and they're like, those are the players that are left. It's like we're going to all bump you on to the next level, basically, and stuff like that. And just trying to dynamically change what those maps are going to be as you move across. Because I don't think we've really like crossed that bridge, really.
Like changing the kind of the world around the players.
Yeah.
You can do that if you can have the cached node, like you can have a node under the root that you always save as like the players and their positions, and then you can have everything else being the world nodes, and then clear children except for the players, and so then everything's cleared out except for where the people are.
That makes sense. Okay.
I think you do that.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of stuff is just like the stuff that I think as we're like going through and making it, we're gonna run into. But also for legal purposes, I think we should change the name from Frogger. And because I don't like making sprites, I was just gonna go with Squarer. So you just have differently colored squares.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to have crazy looking like sprites and animations. I just think having even moving white bricks across the screen would be fine.
A big scary rectangle.
That's right. And you are just a brightly colored rectangle trying to get across in life.
It's like Atari 26.
Yeah, it kind of what it is, yeah.
It's cool though, because I mean, like, you know, that was 100 years ago. That's like the start of video games, and that's the start of home video game consoles.
That's right.
Not really, but part of it. I don't know.
I mean, it was.
Yeah.
For sure it was.
Was that the Commodore 64? I don't know. We're not that old, but
I don't know.
I just know the Atari was like the 70s.
Yeah, whatever the Commodore 64 was. People joke about like souping one up now, but I don't even know
Yeah.
How souped up do you get that?
They were 12 years old. We don't know what that is.
Yeah. They were or we are? We were.
We are 12 years old currently.
What?
That guy. He's old.
It's true.
Okay. And then the last thing I just was like, originally it was going to be like, this is the part where we talk about our holiday experiences, but we definitely did that already.
Near death.
Near death for you guys. A chill, relaxing holiday for me, and an equally chill, relaxing holiday for JC.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I got drunk and walked downtown.
Nice.
That was harrowing. Because I was relying on Alex. Alex is a DD, but so we walked from a friend's house downtown, and we were gonna walk back and drive home. But Alex had a few drinks, so we were like, all right, we're gonna have to calm down at that house. So Alex didn't want to drink his like last 2 drinks, and I had to drink them. And I was like, I'm not gonna relive Denny's too. So I just clung on to Alex and walked around downtown.
We could tell the Denny's story for like our Christmas special or something.
Oh my god.
JC passed away. But yeah. Hopefully more relaxing than that.
Yeah, no, it was good. Went to IBT's. The dancing.
They lost my ID once, and I hate them forever.
I would too.
What if I was on? What if I lost my ID there right now? I needed to get on a plane.
Oh, dude.
And they were just like, oh, it's fun.
Well, as of October 1st, our driver's license don't count as valid flight IDs.
October 1st, 2020.
Yeah.
I don't care about 2020.
What do we have to do then?
You have to get a new ID.
Or a passport.
Yeah. Or a passport card.
Get a passport.
I still don't have a passport.
No?
USA.
Yeah, you had it. You had a passport.
Never had a passport.
How'd you go to Mexico?
They told me not to get off the boat, but I did. That was fine.
Yeah, what are they gonna do?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He's a very pale man, so they were probably like, you don't belong here. Come on.
It was.
Also, one thing I didn't think about. This whole time we've been recording a week and a half before, and that's just kind of been the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've kind of messed up the schedule because this is going up in 3 days. If we record Saturday like normal, we still have a deadline of 4 days. So that means we have to double record.
We changed it.
But
oh
then,
my god, I don't have enough material to double record.
Yeah, I barely have enough material for this. So like,
No, we've been recording for a while.
Joking. But yeah, like I think maybe we can do something, or maybe something lame like recording a long one and splitting it into 2, just to have.
Why don't you guys do like a fun episode where it's like you just talk about like the 20 questions thing,
There you go. We could do that.
but like different because I did that.
Yeah, the originator over here.
You should do a would you rather episode.
There you go.
Oh, we have to think of would you
Yeah,
rather.
you never have I ever.
Mm-hmm.
Make a
Never.
That's-
Yep. Mm-hmm.
make an episode where you guys drink heavily.
I'm more willing to do the.
Slosh.
I'm more willing to do the would you rather than.
I'll spin up a one shot right now and DM a campaign real quick. And it'll be a live play.
I think there'd be a lot of underground work for that because Joseph's never played the tabletop RPG.
That'd be fun though.
I mean, it would be interesting. I've never tried that before. But yeah, that's. So, are we gonna double record next week then?
I don't know if whatever. I'm just saying until we double record, we'll have a tight deadline like that.
Whew, okay.
So, but it's fine. I mean, it's all good with me. I like doing this stuff. So
It's true. I do as well.
it's whatever. But yeah, I kind of didn't think about how it actually works until it happened.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Well, see, if we were smart, what I would have done was last week I would have recorded one with like JC and Alex,
There you go.
and then we would have had one. And then this one, then we would have stayed on our schedule. But I got confused on the dates,
Yeah,
and that's my fault.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were like, all right, ready to record on Sunday, guys, right? And me and Senovia were stuck in a forest. So it wasn't really.
Were you really at that point stuck in the forest?
We got to a Denny's after we were rescued.
You know what's Denny's has really been your place.
Yeah,
In
seriously, that's
like,
actually true.
it's
It's
always-
diner. It's all over the place.
Denny's has been there for you too.
Denny's was there for me too. I'm glad that's where.
You ended up.
Yeah.
It could have been the Taco Bell.
Could have been an IHOP.
Well, for people who don't know, one of the first dates that Joseph and Senovia ever went on was to a Denny's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Our first date was at the movie theater, and then our second date was junior prom, which we ended up at Denny's.
True.
And that's when you found out that I drink marinara sauce.
You drink marinara sauce?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
What
that.
else are you supposed to do with it?
Exactly.
JC, don't support this. Drinking marinara sauce is...
It's really off-putting.
It's so good.
Great.
Putting your
Do you
lips
wanna-
around that little sauce dish at Denny's,
Yeah.
just drinking anything out of that's gross. But marinara sauce, glugging tomato paste,
You like
Loving.
chew it, and
Yeah.
then you swallow.
chewing sauce.
Yes, you chew
There's
this
stuff
because it's
in
all
it.
chunky. Oh my
I'm
God.
with... Dude, I'm with
It's like a
Joseph.
soup. It's like
No.
a tomato stew. Really.
No. I was telling Joseph about this, but every time Senovia has been on the podcast, there's always been a hilarious hot take that no one intends.
Yeah.
And this has got to be it, I think, for this podcast. You go.
So, listeners, if anyone else drinks marinara sauce, write us to us. Right? Let us know.
We'll report you directly to the police.
Yeah.
Hashtag marinara
Joseph's
gang
close with the
on
police
Twitter.
in Oregon. I drank the syrup at Denny's,
What syrup?
like the pancake syrup that they give you, like in a
Like
little
maple
dish.
syrup?
Yeah.
That's not anything crazy.
That's just diabetes.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurts.
It's just
'cause
sugar.
What they don't tell you about drinking syrup is that it goes down slowly.
Oh,
Like
it
it
does.
doesn't go down quick.
Uh-huh.
So like you feel like that. Like you feel like a block of liquid just really slowly going down your esophagus, and you feel it the whole way down.
Does it coat the throat?
Yeah, it coats the throat.
By the way, first home games T-shirts coming out. Just hashtag coat the throat.
You know what? I think the first one has to have something about the echo chamber because I think we've said it on every podcast.
Probably. Well, we need to find someone who cares enough to purchase our whatever.
I mean, we would. That's the thing.
I would.
JC would.
All right, I'm gonna play these songs and probably cut all this stuff out. I'm gonna look to see if there's anything that we forgot from our text messages.
I don't know. Did you have anything, Senovia? You want to talk about?
I did not. I didn't realize.
I have a question for you then. Do you make dessert for Thanksgiving ever?
Yeah, I normally do, but this year I had to make all the food except the turkey, so I didn't really make any dessert. But last year the year that I was by myself, I made a pumpkin pie, an apple pie, and then like cookies.
That's a lot of things.
That's a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
What
delicious.
did you make this year? What?
This year I just made chocolate chip cookies. And that's it.
But all the other stuff, like
Oh, and then the food I made macaroni and cheese, gravy, stuffing. I made bread.
made bread.
Well, I just like took it out of the thing and I rolled it.
Okay, well, that's still pretty.
Yeah, that doesn't really count. I made mashed potatoes.
Did you say mac and cheese?
I made ham. Mm-hmm. I made the mac and cheese. I made a green bean casserole.
Straight, like, did you use all canned stuff?
No.
Or did you- Okay.
The only canned thing I used was the cranberry sauce because people just prefer cranberry sauce in the can. But yeah.
That's really my family too.
Yeah, people don't like, or it's like really
Divisive.
divisive. Yeah.
Well, my mom made cranberry sauce that she put way too much sugar in,
Oh.
and so it was like sweet.
Well, isn't it sweet?
Isn't
No, it
supposed
was
to be a
like
little
sweet. It was like honey. It was like eating
Like a syrup.
purple honey. Yeah,
Ugh.
like cranberry colored honey. It was interesting.
Kind of
Yeah.
like that idea of purple honey. That's cool.
JC's into some weird food stuff.
Like unique things.
Well, the reason I was asking
Mhm.
was I don't know. I think our listeners probably know, but Snowy is very good at baking.
Oh.
So I'm gonna ask her.
Oh, and then I also made a blueberry cheesecake bake, which is like a croissant, blueberry, like cream cheese, sugar, like casserole, basically.
You made everything, it sounds like.
Yeah, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, I made everything.
It
Thank
was
you.
all really good. Her
It's
dad-
his favorite thing, so.
That blueberry thing is amazing. It's like my favorite. Her dad almost burned the house down.
Yes.
Did he fry the turkey?
We fry the turkey every year, but this year we put in too much oil and then we turned it up like 100 degrees too hot.
Oh.
And so we put the turkey in, it just boiled over. So we turned the heat off, or we turned the flame off, but our whole patio was covered in oil, so was close.
It's just like, man, we almost died on the way here, and then the turkeys will take us out. It'd be a tragedy.
Yeah, it really would be.
That would be devastating. I wouldn't even known about the being trapped in the forest story either.
Yeah.
You know what's sad? Now that we have that story, like the way we are actually gonna die is gonna be so lame. They're gonna be like, oh, we beat this mountain and we fought like wolves and we almost died or whatever. And then the actual way we did is like, we're on the toilet or something. Like, we choked on a cucumber or something.
That's how I'd rather go than like freezing to death in a forest. That's not even that cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty lame. It's just slow.
That's,
I think after we left there, it was your dad, right? Who was like, I have a friend who lives out there, and according to him, people get stuck in that exact place every year and die. So you guys were lucky for getting out. It's like, great.
God dang, that's terrifying. That's like a whole new level of that story too.
Yeah.
But did you want to learn how to bake? Is that why you're asking?
Well, I was gonna ask you, how difficult is it to make pumpkin pie?
Oh, it's ridiculously easy. It's just the crust and then the
Canned pumpkin.
Yeah, well, yeah. I would not recommend roasting your own pumpkin and making your own pumpkin puree. Just go get it from the store. It's much easier. But yeah, it's just like pumpkin puree, like sweet condensed milk or like evaporated milk, and then like sugar, all your spices, and that's it. And then it's like it's like a cream. And then you put it into a pie crust that you could also just buy at the store, and then you bake it for like 40 minutes, and that's it.
Keep in mind, you're talking to a man who doesn't own flour.
Seriously? Okay, you go to the store, and you go to the baking area, and on the pie or the pumpkin puree can, get a Libby's, I think that's what it's called, Libby's pumpkin puree. On the back of it, it's a pumpkin pie recipe. Just follow that exactly, and it'll make a really good pumpkin pie.
Okay.
Yeah. Or go to Costco and get one because they're so good.
That is my usual move.
Those are the best.
We usually, well, actually, this year is the third year now. We haven't bought pumpkin pie. We haven't had pumpkin pie because my brother makes a pumpkin mousse for Thanksgiving every year. Yeah. So he makes that, and I really, really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like pie crust very much. So
pumpkin mousse would even be easier.
The
It's just basically the filling.
My brother, in theory, told me. Well, he's told me it's really easy to make, but I'm not allowed to know the recipe because he told me that I would eat it too often, which is probably true given what he's given me and how much of it I've eaten already.
Yeah.
Because he gave me maybe 2 quarts, and I'm down to a handful of ounces. So I've eaten a lot over the last few days.
Maybe that's why you probably shouldn't buy flour, because if you did learn how to make pasta, you would just eat pasta every day.
I do it now.
Yeah,
I do it now.
So
I eat pasta 5 times a week.
oh my god, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
You just go get it at the store and then eat it here, or you go out to eat?
Oh no, I make it here.
Oh my god.
Just boils pasta and opens a jar and drinks that.
I don't. No. I do eat pasta 5 times a week though. That's legitimate.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. So don't get flour. Just don't get it. Don't do it.
Pasta is very versatile because if I say I eat pasta 5 times a week, that doesn't include raviolis of pasta technically.
Oh, pasta is the best food in general.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's a good transport tool for other stuff. Joseph's out here shaking his head at pasta is the best food. Senovia and I agree on something that's quintessential to my being, just so you know.
If you do really like pasta, my friend opened up a pasta shop downtown called Ceres, Ceres. She makes all the pasta homemade. It's really, really good. She has a bunch of sauces, and you can go there with a bowl or something, and she'll give you a discount, or you can go there with Tupperware, and she'll fill your thing with raw dough or raw pasta, and you can bring it back here and cook it, or she'll cook it for you, or you can buy the sauce separately. It's cool.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I'll probably go there at some point.
It's in downtown, yeah. So try that.
I like that.
Don't go there, because then you'll die. So
Mom won't die. If you eat pasta 6 times a week, you won't die. You become Italian at that point.
The Mediterranean diet that keeps people living forever. What do they eat?
Oh yeah. You just fish and oil
and
bread.
A lot of that is eating less red meat. Eating a lot of red meat's not actually good for you. I don't eat a lot of red meat, so I'm okay. I eat steak once a week. I eat 1.5 pounds of it in a sitting, but that's like traditionally something.
Oh, but no, eating marinara sauce, that's weird.
Sauce is weird.
It's super gross.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's not that gross.
Hot tomatoes, anything that's not a cold raw
But you don't
tomato.
like hot, that's the thing. That's why you think it's gross, because it's hot.
I hate tomatoes. They're the worst.
I love
Give me a
tomatoes.
cold raw tomato or a cherry tomato.
Gross.
Great. You heat up that tomato beyond like 50 degrees, it's disgusting.
I
What about,
actually
like,
the
a
exact
bruschetta?
opposite of position as you. I think regular cold tomatoes and cherry tomatoes belong in the garbage, but I think that cooked tomatoes are actually good, like really good, like marinara sauce.
See?
I'm down with marinara sauce.
Pizza is so good that it makes the tomato sauce okay, not tolerable. But if it was an extra sauce or whatever, I think we talked about this.
You and I have had this like the exact argument.
Or
before.
like a white sauce pizza.
No, I've tried that before, and I just feel disgusting after
What
that.
about barbecue sauce pizza?
I've had like a chicken barbecue pizza, actually delicious.
Yeah, I like those, but I like everything.
Yeah,
I just love
you're
food.
The opposite of picky.
I'm like Ratatouille.
Yeah, I actually like the thing is that if we were gonna do an episode, we're talking about like what our favorite things are. We couldn't do it with JC. JC doesn't have a favorite anything.
It's like, what do you
I have
dislike?
certain
Really?
favorites.
What's your favorite color?
I like pastels.
Yeah, see,
Oh.
that's a lot of colors. Almost any.
But that's
color
a
can be
favorite color
pastel.
category. That count. What's your favorite? Favorite.
Favorite band?
Favorite band. Yeah.
What's your favorite band?
Okay. No. This.
It's kind of hard.
I don't like bands. It's my
So you're
favorite music maker like that.
Been really liking Lawrence lately. That's a good band.
Lawrence,
Lawrence.
like LAWRENCE, like Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes.
What is it? What's that genre?
It's kind of like a soul funk, soul pop. You know, really good for your heart. Think about
Aw.
romance, living day by day, being there for people.
Nice.
I see what you mean.
No,
I
I
love a food episode. I could talk about food all the time.
You guys should just do a food episode then for next time.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know. That was episode 6. This is episode 6 of the podcast. We're going to come at you again in a week. Recorded at.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next week. HomeGamesIO on Twitter, and contact us, podcast at HomeGamesIO. Questions or whatever. Check out stuff, the website, and thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye.